Welcome to Mac and Blue, where we introduce you to who is building Arizona, bringing you the people and businesses that shape the landscape around us. From economic development and developers, underwriters and lenders, architects and engineers, to the very builders and suppliers that bring it all together. Now let's join our hosts, Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky, aka Mac and Blue.
Welcome to Mac and Blue. I'm Robert Johnson, Vice President of Business Development with Torrey Contracting. This handsome gentleman is J.J. Levinsky, the President of Blue Wave General Contracting, and we are recording today in the beautiful Personalized Solution Studio in Scottsdale, Arizona. And
just shout out to Sean, right?
I just threw that out to Sean. I just was like, I didn't even turn his head. But yes, it is. We're high above Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, yeah. On the second story.
Even better. But we are jazzed today to have these two gentlemen on with us. And I'm just glad that you get to be the young guy for a change.
Hey. And I still have my ARP card.
We are glad to have Sherman Cawley and Paul Devers. Did I get it right, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
And I even think I motioned at the right person and all that.
Yeah.
So,
You
Not bad for your
I'm
Lestixia.
on. We don't have to do this but one time today.
He's bipolar, Lestixia. He's got all sorts of ailments, but he got that one right.
I did with Cawley Architects.
Right.
And we are thrilled to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, legends.
Looking forward to it.
Legends.
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 The man, the myth, and the legends.
All
right?
right.
Legends.
The truth comes out. It's like
Yeah.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
We're going to burst that bubble real fast.
You said that, not me.
Hey, come on. We all know the old Western.
Yeah, let's start with you, Sherm.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Cawley Architects and all the what, the how long.
Great.
We'll just let you go.
This is his first year of
We've
practicing.
only got an hour. I'll raise my hand when it's time to stop.
Well, we're looking forward to getting into the meat of everything,
Yeah.
so we'll just give you a little overview. But we're almost 30 years old.
He's looking pretty good for 30, huh?
Yeah, not
He
bad.
is. Yeah.
So I'm a native. I was
Oh.
born and raised in Tucson. I went to school in the New England area and got a degree in architecture and lived there for a while and came back. And really have only had 2 jobs in architecture in the last, 40 plus years.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Rumor
it's-
has it his boss is kind of a tyrant, but that's okay.
So that which is really remarkable. It has its pluses and minuses, but I've really loved that. So so we started Cawley Architects in 1991, and I was in the first slowdown, which was the old savings and loan debacle at that time.
For those of us old enough to remember.
That's right, exactly right. And so I was working at home for a couple of years, and then started the firm. And we've had a wonderful run. It has just been such a great run for us. We have really loved, all of the opportunities we've had and the great relationships we've been able to create since that time. So we started working in light industrial, and of course, we're known for that. That's what we cut our teeth in. We started with a couple of design build contractors in the early 90s and grew those into very, very productive, creative relationships, which helped everybody involved. Paul came on board in 1999, so we've been a partner for 23 years.
The rookie, Paul the rookie.
Yeah, the rookie, exactly. And that has worked out beautifully. I mean, we have gotten along so well together over the years and really loved working with each other. So we're fast friends and vacation together as well. So that's worked out very, very well.
When are we going to start doing that?
I didn't know we could.
Yeah.
How do you get the memo?
Okay,
Is
all
that a
right.
thing?
Well,
Yeah.
try it out for size because it actually works. It works
Oh.
great. So it's really a wonderful experience.
So how many associates, staff member do you have?
Right now, we're almost 30. We're 28. We're a team-driven company, so we have 6 teams in the office, which we can talk about. So the rest of our history was then that we did grow those design-build relationships into very successful collaborations, and that that worked out very, very well for us, and we were kind of known as those design build guys for many, many years. Of course, our relationship with LGE was preeminent, and we were kind of known as the LGE guys for all that time. Then the recession hit in 2008. That totally took us by surprise. Paul and I were totally blindsided by that. Up until that time, we had working on light industrial projects. We could probably get 4 or 5 permits a month at the rate we were going for projects that we were doing together with all of our collaborative partners. And all that just disappeared.
Oh, that was in the 90s,
That
you
was
say?
in the 90s
Yep.
and 2000s, and then all that disappeared in 2008.
Yeah.
So the other thing that, Paul and I are so proud of is the fact that during that time period, those 5-6 years, we kept 12 people busy for 5.5 years during the recession. So that was cool. And coming out of that, LGE decided that what they wanted was more control over the architectural process, which is win-win for us because we got a chance to go out and become a healthier company and diversify our client base and diversify our product type, which we've done very, 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 very well. So since that time, I would say since 14, 15, 16, we've grown to a 28-person firm. We have, as I say, 6 teams, and we continue to grow incrementally, focusing not only on client delivery, but equally as importantly, just the internal processes in our office of really turning out a great product. So, and right now, we have a fantastic group of designers and architects and future leaders of the company, which are really doing they're doing work that, Paul and I couldn't have done 10 years ago. They're way ahead of us. And so we're very, very proud of them too. And we feel like we've got a great future going forward.
Have you had any trouble finding talent?
Who hasn't? Who hasn't?
It's a tough market right now.
Yeah.
So we've been constantly looking for new talent in the marketplace. And it's just hard to find, and primarily because the economy is so good right now. People are staying where they are now. A few people want to kind of venture out and up the ante.
There's always people that are poking.
Yeah.
A few more bucks,
Right.
different
That's right. opportunity,
different culture.
Right,
And that's a good thing.
No, it is.
Yeah,
It's
a good
healthy.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
but it's tough. So we actually use marketing people to find us new talent.
Sure.
Because the days of advertisements in the newspaper and things like that just don't work anymore.
No. Right.
So, but we have been successful. We've recently brought on 2 new individuals, so we are having some success with that.
Good. Very good.
Yeah, you just have to work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it.
Oh, it's got to be
And
a
then when you get frustrated,
constant
you have to keep
It
after
is.
it anyway. so-
ongoing thing
Yep, it really
that you
is.
just never stop doing.
So if you guys don't get asked this question, then how do you two divide and conquer your roles within the organization? As kind of the principles, if you will.
Well, I would say through all the 2000s, he had his group of clients and I had mine, and we would work collaboratively together, but basically we had our own group of relationships. And I think that's probably pretty typical in most offices, I would say. However, as we grew, it was really important for us to start our transition plan. So I really needed to take a step back to be able to work on that. Paul has become president. He's been president for the last couple of years and has run the show and is involved in the, I would say, daily operations, but not necessarily even so much project management. So we've pretty much handed all that off to our architectural staff.
Right.
And
But you guys still have a heavy hand in the business development and
everything.
relationships,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, let's be honest, Sherm, both your names in the industry and around the valley, you're shaking hands and trying to consummate the deals, right?
That's correct. Exactly right. And that has worked and worked well for us. So I would say, the majority of our work really is with a very steady client base that continues to grow incrementally. But on the other hand, we've been very fortunate that, that great experience in design build, when we first started that, we met so many people. We met a ton of people. We had a great start, in regards to our relationships with the brokerage community, development community. So I'd say I've been working on transition plan and just corporate high-level stuff for the last couple of years. And then, of course, the pandemic sent us all home anyway, and I just stayed home.
Reset everything.
I just stayed home. But, it's so seamless these days, nobody really
No.
Nobody minds that, and nobody really knows. I mean, I have my handset at home, and I just pick up and talk with anybody I want.
So going back, you go first.
Oh, well, I was going to have you elaborate a little bit on how the design build concept and that methodology
Right.
differs from the standard architecture, what most would think
Great. So
from an architecture standpoint.
Well, I'll take a stab at that.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, number one, traditional architecture is a client hires an architect. They design the building, they go through the process, and then the contractor comes on board in the permitting part of the process and the bidding part of the process.
Right.
So in that respect, they're totally cut out of the entire process that you go through to put the building together and design it and engineer it. A design build process is a little bit different in that the contractor hires the architect, and the contractor typically has a client on board in the project. So as a group, the three of us work together to design the building, to engineer the building, to do the preliminary pricing so that before we get too far down the road on the drawings and everything, we have an understanding of what the budget is, what the program is, and everybody's on the same page. So it's a huge advantage for the client, the ultimate client, because he's not only getting the cost control up front, but he's getting the design that he wants to go with that. And so when we get to the end, to that what usually is the traditional bidding phase, we already know what the construction costs are going to be. We can get the project permitted, and they can start construction immediately. So it's more of a streamlined method.
Sure. It's just smart, to be honest with you. I mean,
Of course,
absolutely
You
is.
build to a budget instead of the other way around, and then having
Correct.
to erase
It's
and
also-
go all over the whole thing.
But we've all been there. It's the knock on it there's a bunch of knocks against it. It was against tradition.
Right.
Everybody
There-
hates change.
Risk, hate change. And some, there was even arguments that there's collusion involved and things
sure.
like that. But
Sure.
I know you guys can attest to it because we've been on the other side of the coin of it. It's so much easier. It's just so nice.
Well, it's such a great delivery such a great way to deliver the entire service. So it's really critical. And of course, these days with everything getting more and more complicated, you have to have collaborative partners starting from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, the whole relationship's tightened up now that everyone's facing, shortages in regards to being able to deliver. These relationships are formed instantly. As soon as you start thinking about a project, you've not only got an architect on board, but you've got a contractor too, because you got to be able to start making those orders.
Very early.
Yeah, very early.
Or like we're doing now. We're ordering before we're even done designing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, you need switchgear? Yeah, we better get that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for both of you, out of the most recent recession, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
did you guys venture into some other verticals, or did the clients and the design build thing draw you into other verticals that you typically weren't in before?
I would say, we certainly got into healthcare much heavier
Got it.
than we were in healthcare before. And that was part of it. We were introduced to some healthcare clients through that process, and we were able to capitalize on that and turn those into real substantial relationships. But that was one of the things that emerged out of healthcare was still working a little bit in construction and in real estate during the recession. Healthcare needed to continue to advance. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest.
Yeah, and we also got into a little bit of university work.
That's right, absolutely.
With some associations with some cities. And, that developed into really nice projects. And then we also did got into some of the residential marketing, some vertical residential work. So that.
You mean multifamily specific, or
Well,
what
it
is
was
it?
for Phoenix Rescue Mission.
Oh, got it.
So 4-story a building over on the west side. And so.
I remember when you guys did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was different work for us. And so we've never really been afraid of new work because it's always a great adventure to go out and do things you haven't done before.
Right.
But we also make sure we stay, between the lines so we don't get outside of those.
Stay in your lane, bro.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. Exactly right. Well, one thing we don't do is we travel with clients, but we really don't market out of the state. So, things like that. All that contributes to, success.
You travel with clients. A client goes out of state.
Yeah, Colorado.
You'll do something with that client.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
What if you guys don't mind going on this path, I mean,
No.
without patronizing you guys,
Yeah.
everyone knows your name as kind of a very culturally sensitive organization.
Right.
If you two can talk about, explain the how and the why and the what behind that as kind of the guiding principles behind your organization.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. We
Actually,
really
it was an insult, but that
no. It didn't feel like an insult to me.
I wanted to see if you were paying attention.
Me either. I was going, wait a second. That sounded good to me.
Because this guy, he's
No.
like, if JJ's not giving sarcasm, he's not communicating.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I'm
No,
just-
that's
Sherman, I
fine.
was serious. Go ahead.
Of course. Well, I appreciate that. So we've worked hard on that, and it's something that we do feel sets us apart a little bit. And so I would like to talk about that a little bit. And
Spend all the time you want.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. I can summarize it by, everyone cares about, your corporate culture these days, and of course your workplace satisfaction. And in thinking about that over the past few years and working on it as hard as we have, I like to use the phrase that we think of all of working is learning. So we use that as a kind of a catchphrase to describe really three very important components of our workplace, approach to workplace satisfaction. The first is obvious, and that is that, except I would say it's obvious, but it's not necessarily promoted by other offices as much as we like to promote it, and that is that we feel that when somebody comes on board with us, we feel like they should really be working on their careers.
Okay.
That if they feel they're thoroughly engaged in their own careers while they're working with us, that's when they're going to be the most value to us and the most value to our
That's
clients.
wisdom.
Yeah.
And so as a consequence, we really care about that. We spend a lot of time on that issue. So when somebody comes on board, we let them know that, first of all, there is a path for advancement. So not only are our managers tiered, but the whole office is tiered such that you can always advance. And even if you're a manager now, you can grow to be an architect if that's what your true desire really is. And we want you to do that, and we give you that path. We support that in regards to educational programs we have going on in the office.
Can you take a tangent, Sherman?
Yeah.
Just give us your tiers
Okay, yeah.
so that the audience knows kind of how that looks.
Of course, absolutely. So the managers, starting from the top, of course, we have principals, and then we have the architectural directors. They're also principals as well.
So is that person in charge of a team then?
Yes,
Okay.
that person's in charge of a team, and they're the people who design the projects, and they work with the clients to satisfy the design criteria.
So they technically can stamp everything. They don't need to come to you to
That's
stamp.
correct.
Okay.
However, corporately, we
Well,
decided
yeah,
that only we stamp, but on the other hand, they're all
Sorry.
No, that's
I
fine.
should have.
no, but they could. Yeah, they can stamp, and they're looking forward to it.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So that's the top level of design, and then underneath that we have associates. So associates are highly skilled and have gotten out of the direct managerial role.
Okay.
And are they are assistants or directors in their own right, but just not principals at this point.
And
then-
typically have gone through proper schooling and everything.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we have 3 associates in the office, one of whom directs our interiors department, another is an assistant director, and the third is handles the majority of all of our the day-to-day construction administration. So then the third level is managers. These are people who draw, and we've got about 15 or 16 of those, and those are tiered into 3 different tiers. And for the most part, I would say that almost all of them are senior managers. So our distinction here is that after you've been with us for a while and learned about constructability, which is the most important thing to us, and you've had a couple of your projects built, then you're considered for a graduation to a senior manager. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So then you have some lower tiers though, right? Do you do any AI or EITs or anything like that?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Well, we learned early on, even though that's a very valuable program, that we spend as much time looking over their shoulder saying, now do this, now do that.
So you've taken, and if I can be as blunt as saying this,
Yeah.
you've taken maybe a little bit of a contrarian viewpoint than some of the rest of your peers.
Correct, exactly right. We care about that, but on the other hand, it takes so much time that we really haven't had a chance to develop that as a program.
Got it.
Once you come on board as a production person, then you've got those opportunities.
Well, fair.
So that's number one, is making sure that everybody has an opportunity to advance, and that we make that a goal. That's part of our regular review. And we talk with them frequently about how they're doing on their own goals. So that's important. We care about that. As principals, we know how hard we've had to work in order to get to our level. And so we respect that in everybody. We want everybody to be doing that as well. So that's number one, is advancement and thinking and making sure that people really feel fully engaged in their own careers and giving them that opportunity. And we've all had experiences where people have left because they didn't feel like they had those opportunities and they really wanted something else. And that's part of the process. We get that.
you learn.
And we respect that. Absolutely.
No
We
one's
respect
perfect.
that.
Yeah.
So the second thing is then that we're in a very highly technical field, and it's very difficult. What we do is really hard. You guys would agree. What you do is extremely difficult.
Torrey Contracting, your full-service Division 9 contractor. Torrey Contracting operates with a smaller, hands-on team. This cohesive structure results in superior workmanship and economical solutions. We deliver projects with unsurpassed commitment to quality and stewardship of budget. Torrey Contracting, small enough to listen, big enough to deliver.
And so there's a tremendous amount of learning that needs to go on. And what we feel we have to do is give our managers and the people of our staff as much support as we possibly can for them to do the best job they possibly can. So we spend a lot of time on that. So that's the second precept we have. We have a whole series of checklists. We've had these for many, many years. When a manager sits down to do a building, he's got a 54-page checklist he has to fill out as he's doing the drawings. And it's a roadmap not only for him to help as a tickler for what he needs to do next, but most importantly, it contributes to consistency and accuracy in our work, starting from the day he starts, not from when somebody finds that they've made a mistake afterwards. So that's number two. Number three, the other things about the support are that we have many years ago, we hired a QA/QC manager who is now our director of construction administration as well. So that person checks for every set that goes out of the office. He'll check every architectural page for all the notes, all the dimensions, all the intent. And he is also checking all the consultant work for all of the work that has gone into the design and engineering of the project. And that then becomes a feedback loop whereby he is then training the managers in regards to other things that need to be incorporated into the set that we all care about. And there's a very large and an active feedback loop going on in the office where he is reviewing the work going out of the office and then training people in regards to how to continue to improve on that work going forward. Now, this is something that offices I know have attempted to do as training. We've attempted it many years and had a lot of false starts and finally just gave up and said, the heck with it, we're doing it all the time. So we train religiously. We train every week. 1 week it's a Revit training and another training is on standards and procedures. And we still continue to do that. We have a training manager who handles that because that's contributing to the manager's success in their ability to grow and get better and deliver a great service.
So how many hours a week is that, Sherm?
It's an hour.
Okay.
But the
45
technology
minutes.
is changing
That's
so fast.
That's
and
part of our
so
training,
quick.
exactly right. And the other thing is that, we're a Revit-based office like so many others, and not all of our projects are Revit. We're getting to the point where the majority of our major projects will all be in Revit, but not they all aren't right now. And that's an educational and a professional goal that all of our managers want to participate in, is how to work in 3D. So I would say that's number two, is that we provide great support for our staff, and that's really a precept that we've focused on. And the third is just work hard, play hard. So we have regular events for our staff and pull them together and get out of the office and compete a little bit together when we get out and go golf and have events for the office and have great get-togethers and.
It was the skydiving one that worried me a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, exactly. We haven't done
Sherm
that
didn't
yet.
show up with a chute that
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
I'm glad he's still here.
But we did the carts one day. That was pretty cool. And so we really enjoy that, and we've spent time and effort on making sure that people feel connected in ways outside of the office too. So.
I know what's interesting to me is if you watch them on social media at all,
Oh, yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
They look hip. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Well, they are hip. Look at
Well,
it.
that's
but
cool.
that's what I'm
We'll
saying.
take that, you know.
No, it is a very
They showed up on their mopeds today
It's
and
a
everything.
very
so it's good.
positive vibe. It's
Right.
a really exciting. You get the feeling just very well done to whoever's doing it. Make
Yeah.
sure they know.
Yeah.
It's just it just looks like a happy place.
Well, thank you.
But you guys did that consciously, didn't you?
I worked hard on that. So here's something else.
Because when I
very
first
important.
met you, I know that was a big deal.
Okay, so here's something very, very important. Ready?
Yeah.
Joy.
Massive.
Joy. Just walking around. Our business is so stressful. And, you can get jerked around a lot.
You think?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, okay.
And so it's really important that we're all doing this because we love the software, we love buildings, we love construction. We're doing it for pleasure, a kind of a deep pleasure for why we all got involved in this in the first place. It's really important to kind of keep that out there as a reminder. When you're walking around in the office, not necessarily just going like, well, what the heck did you do that for? Mm-hmm. But also reminding people of, the joy that we all feel in being together in a collaborative environment where we're all working towards a common goal and really enjoying it and finding ways to enjoy that in the office.
Makes such a big change
Do you
Yeah.
for people coming into
If you don't mind, I may be going down a rabbit hole that's proprietary, but
Yeah.
because of how passionate you guys have been on this, can you think of the audience that's listening?
Yeah.
Back to that succession planning,
Yeah.
Sherman Paul.
Yeah.
Can you disclose like some of the ideas or some of the things you've done to give joy and inspiration to others as well?
Well, let's see.
Without if
no,
there's
it's
secrets,
fine.
then don't share it.
No, it's fine. We're working on it hard. We have another year to go.
Okay.
We have a great a future leadership team, which is going to do very, very well. And I would say,
Well, one thing I would say is we made a conscious effort 4 or 5 years ago, even longer than that, to start looking for key people
Okay.
to fill in key roles because we knew that the way we had been operating, it was mostly Sherman and I doing the management part of it and the directing.
right.
And so we had to find people who could come in and start supporting that role, and then we could teach them what we knew and bring them to a point where they could ultimately manage the company and also direct the project. So it wasn't by happenstance.
Right.
So we were able to find some key people, and they've really proven to be everything we thought they would be, which is great. So now we're just in the mechanics of trying to make everything work, going through the paperwork
Right,
and working out the
exactly.
details. So that's
A great description.
Yes.
Yeah, great description.
Through that journey, is there any advice you'd give anyone?
start early.
Well, that's a novel one, Paul.
Yeah, but
No,
but
actually,
it's
that's
so
I'm
true.
sure saying it in sarcasm.
I know.
so
Please
many
do.
don't.
Yeah.
Well,
it's-
quite frankly, we didn't.
Yeah.
Not
At least you're
early enough.
honest.
No,
Yeah.
we did not start early.
Yeah.
And, that's a ding on us. So,
But you're humble enough to admit it now.
Well, the
Oh,
other
yeah.
thing is that we're so really, really thrilled that we're now creating a plan that the next generation is going to have in place
Yeah.
in a way that we didn't have, when we've gotten to this point. So we're very excited about that.
You go back to Sherman's concept of working is learning, and being an architect, your business background, you just kind of learn it as you go.
Yeah.
Doing the kind of planning for future work is totally different.
Right.
And it's kind of like planning, the future for your family. I mean, you do a will, you do all those kinds of things to make sure that your family has a financial future. Well, the same thing's true for a firm. And you've got to do that work early on so you can develop the plan and put the pieces in place early.
Yeah, because it doesn't always work out exactly like you think it's going to.
Really?
What business are we in? Well, that's right.
That's pretty uniform, I
Yeah.
think.
No, Paul's advice is perfect. Start early.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Well, one of the things we've got to talk about is this AZRE thing. I mean, these guys are bigwigs.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
man.
It's true.
He's got the
exciting.
tattoo to prove it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so
Tee it up.
So the number one ranking in Arizona, and then one of the best places to work, which is
Right.
what made me think about it.
Right.
because
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things we're talking about, it works, it pays off, it is the real deal. Tell us about what what happened and how and how much fun that is.
Well, it is a lot of fun. I mean, we started this process, 5-6 years ago. And it's like anything else. You want to be part of the community and get some recognition. And so we started, the competition, if you will, because we all know that it's a voting process. People vote for you to be number one.
Right.
So how do you do that? I mean, you just have to get your name out there and be out in the know. So 5 years ago, we won our first ranking in Arizona. And just to be specific, it's for our ranking, it was for offices with fewer than 9 architects on staff.
This was the first one.
This was the first one.
Okay.
Got it.
And so we just continue that process over and over again, and we've done it for 5 straight years.
Amazing.
And it's, the amazing thing is that, we're well known in the Valley, but it's more, I think, of a testament to who we are as a firm and the services we provide. And you look at our client base, 75% of our clients are repeat clients. So that's pretty amazing.
It really is, especially in our world that we work in. We have very long memories,
Yeah, what a great point.
And it's like, boy, one thing.
That's
Some
right.
people take one thing, and it's like,
If you lose your credibility, one instance of a bad service lose your credibility. It's very hard to get it back.
Yes.
So
And usually, when you get it back, is because somebody else lost their
We've had that
credibility.
happen. We've had that happen.
And you get a call back, it's like, okay, yours wasn't so bad.
I remember you from 10 years ago.
yeah,
Welcome
exactly.
back.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
The grass wasn't always greener on the other side, was it?
We've also had staff that have done that as well, and we all had that. So
No, but it's we're proud of it. I mean, it's something that
It's fun for us.
and it's a feel good thing for us too. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and it creates pride, and it goes back to the whole idea of our office culture.
right.
Well, it creates the other piece is that it creates pride in the ecosystem that's around you. So think of it from your clients, especially because you guys do a ton of design build.
Yep.
The contractor partner, the consultant part, the sub-consultant partners, even down to the trade level. So don't sell yourself short. It's bigger than just Cawley Architects.
Yep.
So
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We got a great team. We love our team, and collaboration is everything. Oh my word, these days. In regards to teams.
So speaking of collaboration, let's
Yeah.
bring up a topic that is not always popular.
Okay.
That is with the hyper growth that we're in the Valley.
Right.
And I'm going to call it it really isn't a paradigm shift, but let's be honest, when we all started in the business, the architects were here with the owner and then, the typical sub-consultants.
Right.
And you're seeing, like on another episode, we talked about this, and I'm interested to hear how you guys feel about this. You're getting capital and ownership that's kind of pushing back on not pushing back, but they're really questioning the sub-consultant tier. Because typically you guys were always the one carrying the contract.
Right.
Then you'd hire structural, MP&E, civil, all those kind of things. Be honest, guys. What are you seeing as the challenges, and how are you overcoming that kind of, I don't even know what the stereotypical thing out there that is, where they're all reporting to you, and yet you have owners and contractors that aren't seeing the relationships. Like I feel, because I'm on the other side of the fence, and I see that a lot of the disconnects right now are in those relationships. I'll give you an example where owners are not so much upset with you, but upset with civil, and then they're wondering, well, gee, Sherman, Paul, why aren't controlling that better?
Right.
Where are we failing, and how do we do that better?
Well, number one, we have some fantastic relationships with our sub-consultants, and most of them we've been working with for 20 to 25 years. So we have a system that works for us, and we have expectations that work with our consultants. They're very reactive to what our needs are, and they're also very great communication. I mean, and part of it is just the process we've set up is that we have these points in the process where we communicate, and so that when we get to the end where all the drawings come together, we're pretty solid. Now, some of the things that have disrupted what we do and the things you're talking about over the past 20 years is just the entitlement process.
Yes.
We see a lot of things occur there that slow the process down and also create a little bit of chaos in some of the coordination that goes on, especially on the civil side, and I'm not knocking the civil
No.
engineers. They're working hard.
Oh,
they're busy,
that isn't what we're
busy.
questioning here.
But
yeah.
we get caught up in some of the entitlement process with the municipalities that makes some of that coordination tougher, slows the project down, and that's where the clients really, if they get upset, it's because of the time that it takes to get from point A to point B and get that permit and get construction started.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
So that's
Are there any ideas in your brotherhood of or sisterhood of how we're going to solve that problem?
Well, yeah, actually, we faced this for many, many years. So third reviews. So with civils,
You're right.
So that's a big issue. I would say for the building consultants, we've got a tremendously tight team, and there's really no issues there. I mean, very, very rarely do we have an item come up that didn't work. But for the civil
But you're not.
and for
But you're not
horizontal-
taking that on a price-based relationship.
No.
You're all relationship-based.
Correct.
That's
Totally.
the other.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're going to divide the conversation here.
Yeah, okay.
If anyone's over here in a price-based thing, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're going to get.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
So over here, we're over in the relationship side.
Correct.
Okay, so keep going, Sherman.
So then on the civil side, because they have just as much content in their engineering as we do on our side, they have a very hard job. It's really hard. So communication is the way to do it. So what we'll do is that when we, for those listening in, of course, there's always a process of getting a permit for your project, which involves a review by the municipality that the project is in. Everyone knows that. During that review process, we formed a precept or a principle many, many years ago, whereby when you get your corrections back from the city, you had to either resolve every issue that was in your corrections, or you had to go down and meet with the reviewer or call the reviewer and made sure that you actually had his or her approval of what you were submitting as a correction, rather than just hoping that it's going to work and wait and then get a third correction. You have to be proactive about that. But on the other hand, that's what it takes in regards to, especially now, because cities are so far behind and they're so overwhelmed with the enormous amount of work coming in for all of their staff. But I would say, once again, you have to be proactive. And we've had our misses. We've had our misses over time. So we've had calls from our clients where the civils do have a third review. And so those are the kinds of things that really kind of get your attention.
But you've never brought any of them in-house, correct?
No, that's correct.
No, they're all.
We don't have any
subconsultants.
ambition to do that.
And
We're really happy.
Yeah, it wasn't
with
a leading question. I
No,
just see
yeah.
that, with some of our other guests, and different strokes for different folks.
Correct,
right?
exactly right.
Where I see, much like I've talked about, I think maybe either on air or off air,
Right.
I see the mergers and acquisitions going,
Yep.
they're very heavy in our industry right now
They sure
because
are.
when there's not enough human capital, well, let's just go buy a company and just absorb it all because
Right.
there's efficiencies. You guys aren't immune to, your industry's not immune to that either.
No, there's a lot going on right
Right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's popular in our arena. What we're doing as part of our transition is we really want to maintain local control. So we do. So that's very important to us. We really want to provide, that unending opportunity inside a small community where people can continue to stay in one place. And Roseanne is a perfect example of that. The manager that Paul mentioned earlier, I mean, she's been with us for 16 years and continues to grow. I mean, that's just fantastic.
That is
We
fantastic.
just really love that. So,
What are you working on? What are you working on right now?
ta-da!
Wow, we have been really busy. So a lot of our work is the obvious industrial work, but also manufacturing. We've got a little bit of medical work. We have a couple of proposals out for medical office buildings. We've been doing some retail work. We have some more university work coming up. We have a project under construction right now, which is a dormitory for Ottawa University over in Surprise. So a lot of different projects, but I would say the bulk of it is the industrial and the manufacturing market.
Go ahead.
Are you seeing, in all those different verticals, if you will,
Yeah.
are you seeing the projects stay the same or are they getting bigger?
Now they're all getting bigger. Yeah. Which is, I mean, if I didn't mention it before, I'm certainly going to mention it now. This is all a market we've all been waiting for years, and it's wonderful right now. And so, I obviously
Make
a
hay
rising tide,
make hay while you
rising
can,
tide
right?
floats all boats,
Thank
including
you.
ours. So Paul and I, in thinking about our discussion today, we realized that for the most part, the bulk of our work over all these years has been owner-user. And that really also sets us apart too. So that was really what we cut our teeth in, not so much spec, but owner-user manufacturing.
Even in your industrial stuff.
Oh, absolutely. In the light
Yes.
industrial stuff, it's almost all owner-user. So that's remained strong.
Yeah, and we're doing a lot of industrial TIs where you have a spec building,
Yes.
and then they have
Oh,
a
yeah.
user, and they've
'Cause
got
there's tons of
there's
empty
tons
industrial
of
out
them.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Exactly
Now,
right.
now one thing I will say, some of the conversations we've had recently on building size is there is a little bit of a tendency to look at smaller size industrial product versus the big million square footers, because that's been overlooked the last 2 or 3 years, and everybody wants to do the big boxes.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, from our side of the table, we're getting the calls of, hey, we can't find a 5,000 square foot flex space.
Right.
Who's
Right.
building that right now? Because we need space.
Right.
We have to support the $1 million
Yeah.
juggernaut that's down the road.
Right.
And so are you guys seeing that too?
We're seeing that. We have
The rents have to support it, of course.
exactly. So we've got 3 projects in the North Phoenix area that are small, 15, 20, 25,000 square foot industrial, with the intent that they're close to the big guy down the street.
TSMC or whoever.
Yes,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say, but anyway.
Well, you can.
But
There's no secrets here.
And we've also had other people tell us there is a market for, like, if you have a 30,000 square foot user, where does it go? Because that product's not out there.
No,
right
it's
Right.
in dire demand.
It's all been
now.
absorbed.
So you just have to kind of watch those trends and see where they lead us.
But we're seeing a lot of owner user activity, and also the other thing is we might see more than other offices too because we're known for that. So
It's a great point,
we get
Sherman.
those calls.
How much input do you really have to, and this is an absolute, I'm doing this because of Tori.
Right. Yeah.
It's in my head
Right.
right now because of what we do. But how much input do you have in pushing or steering an owner to particular building materials?
Great question. Our number one precept is, never design a building that's going to be over budget. Because otherwise
so
you end up redrawing
cost-driven,
it.
certainly has
So it's
to be.
cost driven.
Yeah.
So what we do is we look at projects one by one. And if we have an opportunity to do some upgraded materials, we'll do that. But for the most part, we like to start out efficient. And in the industrial market, quite honestly, you're dealing with, concrete tilt exterior materials. One of the things that one of our designers in our office right now is saying, okay, you got 1 million square feet of building and you have so many square feet of exterior tilt wall. What would it take to do something really special on the corner and upgrade those materials And he has been successful in talking with our clients to spend a little bit more money there because it's the only place in the entire building to really show the design. And it also separates that project from other
From
projects.
all the other big
exactly.
rectangular buildings that are concrete.
Right.
So in that case, that's one instance. Some of our other projects, again, we're probably not the architects who go out and do the high-end type of stuff, only because of our heritage. I mean, we've learned to be very economical, not only in our design, but our materials.
Sure.
So I think part of our client base understands that. And so we're not out there trying to push an agenda on them from a design standpoint.
Right.
We're trying to achieve their goals, number one, and then if we can get a little bit more design into that, then we'll push for that.
Great answer. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is there are break points right now, and I think they've wandered a little bit recently between masonry and tilt. But those smaller masonry, the smaller owner user stuff is still masonry. So there isn't. There was.
But think about how. But go back to the warehousing or industrial. Think about when we switched from bar joist and B deck back to hybrid,
Right.
where
Right.
you can do steel with wood.
Yes.
Remember, because supply chain kind of went, hey, Sherman Paul,
Yeah, you
if
gotta
you don't
do it
design
this
with wood,
way.
you're not getting a roof for 2 years.
That's right.
Exactly right.
So I think the market also has something to bear on.
Well,
what
no
you're talking
question
about.
about it. Absolutely.
But that again, back to if there's 3 to 4 entities around that table talking early, where I'm thinking about when we're working with you right now on an undisclosed project.
Right.
Your team came to me and said, "Hey, JJ," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I would do based
Correct.
on market.
Right.
If the client needs this, let's do this based on market."
Exactly. We also have metal buildings. We're in the metal building arena as well. So it's not only tilt and masonry, but also metal. And we have one client with a multi-building complex that is asking us to consider the difference between masonry and metal right now. There are certain, sales advantages to a metal building with a clear space and whatnot. And if you construction and I would say construction kind of challenges involved with metal a little bit. But on the other hand, there's real appeal in the metal these days. And so I think it's a viable alternative in the light industrial field right now. And so we love those projects. Those are really a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of we're getting a lot more traction, a lot more people coming to us. We do cold form steel specifically.
Yeah.
And we have been able to develop, push, whatever, a cold form steel alternative to a standard pre-engineered building.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in Canada. They're doing it in places. They're not doing it in the U.S. And it's like they're still doing masonry and tilt. And
Right.
that was one of the driving pieces with some things we've been discussing in our office. It's like how, and we all know it's about, getting in front of the right people and, getting things specified, really showing the strengths. And ultimately, it all gets down to the dollar. And
Right.
does it make sense, financial sense? But there is some exciting things going on out there.
Very exciting. And the other thing is that the metal building, the vocabulary is caught up too. So
Yes.
not only do you have, great looking masonry projects, but, there's great metal projects out there these days too. We've certainly enjoyed our projects and feel like, they've made a contribution towards that vocabulary as well. So
Well, no knock against you because I know what business you're in. But even look at the transformation of the laminated timber and
Yeah.
products.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
Remember, you weren't even talking about that 5 years ago before.
No.
Katera made a splash and then
Right.
did whatever they did.
And
but,
I mean, even
other things
even
like
more
that.
so in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the mass timber stuff is all it's all gaining ground. It's just exciting time for me. I mean, I don't care what industry.
That's so
it's
cool.
just
Yeah.
it's a cool time in
We're
construction.
all a bunch of construction geeks.
Yeah, we are. That's what
We love
makes
it.
fun.
We love it.
What do you see? What do you see the future? How do you think this economy is gonna? Are you getting any wind yet?
He looks at
people?
his future is a lower handicap. So
you find customers tapping the brakes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
no.
had to.
No, that's great. So
balls bocce, ball score.
oh, no, well, I'm just a reader of the tea leaves like everybody else. I just only can repeat the popular, the popular press out there. But we do follow Elliot Pollock, And so he says, long term, of course, we all know for certain that the future of the valley is beyond bright. However, short term, not so much.
No.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in the next year or two with a minor slowdown here. I'm optimistic, so I'm going to continue to use the word minor. I don't care who's talking to me. It's just going to be minor. That's it. But on the other hand, obviously, GPEC has done such a fantastic job. Oh, my God. Thank God for Chris and his whole group out there. He, along with Phoenix and the governor. Yeah. Did you really? So wonderful. I mean, those guys, in regards to diversifying our economic base here, have done such a fabulous job. So their prognostication is 100,000 people a year in the state coming into the state every year for the next decade, for 3 to 4 decades into the future. So they think that that's not going to stop. It's going to continue on, and that by 2050 they expect that we will have about doubled the population of the state, which is remarkable. So then the next thing is, of course, water. So Grady Gamage, of course, is the authority there with his work in regards to water management. And his latest report is, the synopsis is, plenty of water for people and for manufacturing, just not for agriculture. Right. And by the way, interestingly enough, these new projects that are coming in, especially on the west side, throughout the west side, that are all converting water rights into, their ticket for the 100-year sustainable supply is working beautifully, because those agricultural rights are actually much deeper and much heavier than the manufacturing or the retail or the housing that's replacing it. So that's a net gain overall in regards to the economic development on the west side. So that's very interesting.
There's other micro stories about that too. I know early on we had Maricopa folks on.
Yeah.
And for every, don't quote me on it, but the general synopsis is, for every so many acres that you're taking out of ag and putting into residential or whatever or thing, they're actually putting more water back in the aquifer than they're taking out.
Yeah.
And I just think that, no offense, I mean, I grew up in a farm community, but is farming the desert the smartest thing to do?
Right, exactly. And it has been in the past,
right,
for a wide variety. So, but on the other hand, the world is accelerating so fast, and that's just got to be. So everyone's complimented, we are a model state in regards to our active water management program here, and rightly so.
And the technology will keep getting better. We'll keep adapting to it and implementing things that we can do.
That's right.
Harvesting and gray water returns and things like that. So
that's right. Yeah. Exactly.
So oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you were going to say it. You were going to ask the
question. The question we always ask. Oh, go ahead. No, you go first.
The other item is, just in regards to growth, the brokerage community was thinking that, the pandemic-related explosion in e-commerce that has fueled so much of our growth here, was going to be like a 3 to 5 year run. And if that started in 2021, then, it'll keep going for a while. Everybody loves all the Californians coming over here. That's fine with us. But I think that, ultimately we're in a great situation here. We know we're in a great situation. We always have been. We got through the recession. We're going to get through this just fine. And we have there's absolutely no reason not to bet on the economy of the United States. And we're with all the advantages we have here, not only the lifestyle advantages, but now the tremendous technological boom which is going on. Manufacturing is pouring into the state here. And that is, just if you talk about a water issue, don't you think that TSCM thought about that before they decided to invest first $12 billion and now $40 billion? So, of course, we have a very, very bright future.
Extremely bright.
Yeah.
Now do it.
The question.
Okay, the big question.
What haven't we asked you that you would love to share?
Okay.
Either yourselves, Cawley Architects, State of the Union, State of our industry, anything.
All right. Well,
or
let's check
Paul's,
our notes.
or Paul's,
we have to go back through
or Paul's
our
advice on
notes
Sherm's
here.
swing to get that handicap down.
Look, they're like, okay, I know there's something in here.
There's got to be some more good stuff.
Well, I think we've actually done pretty good.
I know.
Yeah. We appreciate the.
Well, all right. So what? All right. While you're thinking about that, Paul, what do you do for fun?
What I do for fun, I do play a little bit of golf, not much, but mostly tournaments. Spend some time with my family in Rocky Point.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And that's, just kind of a low profile.
Sherm.
I travel. So my wife and I have returned to traveling after a 3-year hiatus, like the rest of the world. So we love that, and I really enjoy photography. So I've really thoroughly enjoyed that, and as I slow down a little bit in the years ahead, I look forward to even more photography.
Is it, if you don't mind me asking, is it more of like a purist form, or do you like augmenting things after you get it?
No, it's more of the purest form. So, I love our picture taking. My wife is also a very good photographer. She's wonderful. So that's something we really have fun together. We love our travel and love comparing notes on that. And the other thing I do is that I'll always create a book when I get back. So I enjoy that. So that's editing and putting a little creativity to it too. So and then family. So.
You got your family right there too.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Your brother from another mother.
No, that's right.
That's exactly right. So
Do you let him crash at the place in Rocky Point at least?
He has.
Yeah,
Yes, he
absolutely.
has.
We've had a lot of
Absolutely.
Don't
All the
charge him
time.
rent. He's friends.
Special rates.
yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
Man, we've
I
had
get the
Anything-
discount.
No. Listen, we could sit here for another couple of hours.
I know.
With these guys and geek out on construction talk.
No kidding.
It has been a pleasure having you.
Well, thank you
Well,
very
yeah,
much.
yeah.
We've
Thank you
so
for the-
enjoyed the opportunity, and what a pleasure for us too. This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
Now we talked about before we started. This is a first, a
Yep.
podcast.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that being the case, then we're gonna have to have them back again.
Well,
at
and for
some
everyone
point.
else out there that
Yeah,
spies
that's
on
right.
us in a good way,
Yeah.
you got 2 ripe candidates here for your podcast too.
There you go.
Absolutely, you can reach out to us and we can put you in touch with them, or you can reach out to them.
Yep,
Yeah.
CawleyArchitects.com, I would assume.
Yep. That's it.
got it.
That's
You
exactly
can find
right.
you and your wonderful staff. So
Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Well, thank
And-
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Take us out of here, Sean.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Tory Contracting and Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Robert Johnson and JJ Levensky on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in live every first and third Thursday at 3 p.m. as we continue to introduce you to the people building Arizona. Walt Disney said, "You can dream, create, design, and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it requires people to make the dream a reality." Until next time, make it a great day.